How's it going, everyone? So I just want to talk a little bit more here about UBI because there's been so much out there about UBI lately that is just economically ignorant. I mean, so many articles and so many people clamoring over these problems that really don't exist except for the government's interventions in the market. So first and foremost, I want to talk about the specifics that have come out lately with people saying we need UBI because robots are going to take people's jobs and there'll be some type of AI that will make it so that people don't need to work, and now all of a sudden we have these people who are unemployed. Well, to the extent of any of those problems, the only thing keeping those people from being able to do other types of work, especially in microeconomies or trading with neighbors or employing people, are the minimum wage laws, which keep people from being able to work for less than minimum wage legally, and the regulations of starting a business that are put on them, by the federal government, by state governments, and other types of fees or licenses that have to be paid into the government in order to even open up a business. I mean, when you can't even have a lemonade stand or mow someone's lawn without getting a business license first, you're going to have some serious economic problems. So again, the issues that you might see with people's jobs being taken away by robots or by automation wouldn't be a problem if people could actually freely trade and freely transact and do other things without the government trying to say, hey, you owe us a lot of money first before you can even trade with anybody. Now, when it comes to what actually makes people more wealthy and what the real issue is in terms of raising people's living standards, it's about prices. So automation and robots only come into play when they're able to effectively do the job more efficiently than a human. So when you have that happen, you're going to have increases in efficiency. You're going to have increases in opportunity for automation to compete with each other, with different businesses. And then you're going to have prices drop as the competition goes. And of course, if you have people producing goods and services, they can't just keep doing that unless they have buyers. So it's kind of ridiculous to think that, oh, you're going to have all this automation AI and there's going to be these businesses that just produce a bunch of whatever and nobody buys it because nobody can afford it. It's just absolutely ridiculous. The idea that people are going to be producers without having the consumers to actually interact or transact, and for those persons who are producing those things to make a profit, to recoup their expenses that they had to invest in producing those products. So again, you have prices drop, but people, if they cannot actually engage in the market because they're banned from doing it effectively by government, well then nobody's going to be able to afford what was being produced to begin with. So again, it's not fixing the problem to say, hey, let's redistribute money from other people, when the real underlying issue is that people are being kept out of market transactions. Now, of course, people are going to say, well, what if there was UBI based on resources or something like that instead of taking money from people and distorting the market? What if there was something like Alaska or something like that where you have oil and there's sales of that product and money's given out? And I've said before that technically that does have some economic weight when there's a resource and it's being sold. But the thing is that amount of money is not a living wage like all these people are wanting to have. I mean, we're talking about a few $1,000s. It's not anywhere near even federal poverty line. And the problem there, of course, is that when you have that mandatory monopolization with government, that's going to be facing other types of economic competition from other types of resources, from possibly other producers or other governments and this or that. So you have that price fluctuation with what could be given out to people because it's not always going to be the same. It's not always going to have the same level of demands, or it might be possibly outmoded, or someone else might just do it entirely cheaper, especially if it's some foreign government or this or that. So again, it's just doing more to add more red tape, more wasted money on bureaucracy, more market distortions, because it's not actually allowing people to voluntarily choose what they support and what they don't support, what they value in the market and what they do, what they do and what they don't value in the market. And again, that even happens with the redistribution through taxation. If you're taking money from businesses and then you're giving it to people, well, if there's not much of an incentive to do anything production-wise, to produce any value to others, because it's just given to you, you end up having that net consumption. You end up having people who don't want to do anything business-wise because, well, why would you? I mean, you're going to get in legal hot water because of the expenses. You're going to have lawsuits against you for not paying equal pay or not having the minimum wage met and this or that. if the legal structure surrounding the business climate makes it very unattractive for people to do anything business wise, well, why would you do anything other than consume the resources that you've been given? And of course, what you end up seeing with that is when people start to just have net consumption, the people who are producing things raise prices in accordance with the money's given out to recoup some of those losses. So there's nothing preventing producers from raising prices to recoup the losses from the taxes to begin with, especially as people are just being given it, and now it's just like they have it, and there's nothing there that says they have to do something that meets the subjective values of others with it. There really is nothing there, and certainly nothing there to encourage them to do anything business-wise when the government is making it very risky or very prohibitively expensive to do anything. So, it's just really one of those things that there's no ethical stance for UBI outside of a voluntary giving. And even that is just ludicrous, because if you were to take all the profits from even the biggest companies like Microsoft and give it out to every single person in the United States, it still wouldn't even be enough to be a living wage according to federal poverty lines. It just wouldn't even be enough to do anything with if you were to take all the money from some of the biggest companies out there, and of course that would have its own detrimental ends in terms of business, and nobody's going to want to do business when they're having everything taken from them. So UBI is really just another type of market distortion and another type of waste and another type of fraud, to the extent that it's not done voluntarily in the market by someone who wants to give what they have freely and voluntarily traded for to other people. Again, if it's coming from someone whose business is based on government and distorting the market and forcing people to buy their product, well, that's a big problem, because it's not based on what people actually value or what they subjectively want. So I hope that helps some people's thinking here about UBI, because there's just too much nonsense out there, and too much of it is based on unethical thinking and on missing the foundations as to why people are poor to begin with. It's just ludicrous how much people don't understand the nature of prices and competition, the nature of entry into the market from an individual perspective, and being able to trade and make money. It's just really nuts. So hopefully that helps some people's thinking here. All right, take care, everyone. Talk to you later.